I never thought I'd meet my end like this.
I took a little trip out to scout their forces, and I gotta tell you, he's got some serious numbers. They look as scary as Master Zhao. Nothing. Hey there! Are you ready to brawl with me?
Surrender or die! For me! You are cowards!
It's too early to pay for my failure with my life. I have to stay alive for the boss and make it up to him.
See? Impressive, cousin. You truly are the one that will conquer this land. We cannot lose this position. We must defend it at all costs. Surrender or die!
You are amazing, Uncle.
Seems that I cannot go to you just yet. I pledge that I will meet you again someday, somewhere.
Impressive, cousin. You truly are the one that will conquer this land.
Our only goal.
Advance forward, and without fear. The enemy cannot match us in a naval battle. Ugh! The enemy's pushing us back! Fighting on water is quite difficult indeed.
Damn! You know things are going bad when you lose a battle on water.
You are amazing, Uncle.
See?
So.
See?
So.
See?
So.
Surrender or die! impudent maggots! How dare you place ropes on the mighty Lu Bu!
You are amazing, Uncle. You relied on sheer might while shunning intellect and cunning. That is what led to your downfall, Lu Bu.
Master Cao Cao, you have my most profound gratitude for your aid. I cannot forgive one who would take the Emperor's name in vain.
I think that is a brilliant proposal. Master Cao Cao, we should agree to accept Master Liu Bei's assistance in this matter.
Bad luck on your part, choosing to come through here. Hand over your supplies.
Hey! What do you think you're doing? That stuff belongs to us!
We cannot afford to lose this position. I shall personally see to its defense.
That's correct. I heard that you were declaring yourself, Uncle, and I couldn't stay away. And besides, I had to join you, because we are under the same sky.
I see. I hadn't expected you, but I am glad that you came. All right, Xiu. The 1,000-league pawn of the Cow family. The Cow.
Can no one find the Imperial Seal yet? Now that no one knows where the Emperor is, it is imperative that, as a loyal retainer of the Han Court, I secure that treasure. Find it at once!
How could I be beaten by losers who could not even defeat Dong Zhuo? Next time we meet, your lives will be over.
Lu Bu has been defeated. Let's sweep on into Luoyang.
Such impressive might. I must begrudgingly respect your ability.
Worth my time!
Your concept is extraordinary.
Excellent. I marvel at your skills.
And I played them for hours and hours on end. So let me just say this. Dynasty Warriors 9 can burn in fucking hell where it fucking belongs. So here it is, Dynasty Warriors 9, the massive open world sandbox experience that they've been crowing about. Yeah, let me tell you about an open world. As you can see from this, the giant open world translates to fucking nothing. Miles upon square miles of absolute oblivion, interspersed with the occasional little skirmish. And we'll get more into the fights and combat system a little later. Here I am just beating Zhang Fei, who is many levels above me, but it doesn't really matter. Nothing in this game actually matters. To be fair, this is of course a one-on-one fight with Zhang Fei on the bridge. In a normal Dynasty Warriors game, this would be part of an exciting battle. You'd get to the bridge bit of the map and fight him. Here, it's its own mission very far away from anything else. And that's how the open world works, if you were curious, in Dynasty Warriors 9. The open world basically just takes an average Dynasty Warriors battle that you'd see in any other game and just spreads it like the tiniest sliver of butter on a knife across the world's largest, flattest, blandest slice of bread. And that is the new gameplay, the new flavour that we've all got to look forward to with Dynasty Warriors 9. Let's talk about the revamped combat system, or as I like to call it, shit. The new combat system is basically 4 attacks. Every character now gets 4 attacks. 1 attack knocks enemies up in the air, 1 attack stuns enemies, and 1 attack knocks them down. You engage in these attacks by holding a shoulder button and then holding one of the face buttons. Attack 4 is a special attack that's on a bit of a recharge timer. They've clearly gotten that idea from RPGs where you can unleash these sort of attacks. The button mashing, the actual the closest facsimile to the hack and slash you get with this is you can hit square for a very limited number of attacks. Your strong attack is just 1 slash now, but the flow attacks, as they call them, that's where the hack and slashery comes in. What you do there is just mash square after you've done one of your 4 basic attacks. And in that regard, more than in any other Dynasty Warriors game, every single character feels like they're playing the same fucking way.
There might be a way, but...
Sorry! Alright. I
Omega Force is good at one thing: hack and slash. It's not good at hunting, it's not good at fishing mechanics, it's not good at crafting. Although I say that, other games that aren't open... Oh, there was a tiger that just disappeared. They will just disappear, because why not? Just having them run or do anything other than stand there gormlessly would be too much work. Too many resources. Because heaven forbid this game must have cost millions and millions and billions and billions to make. Fuck it. Anyway, we're going to talk about wolves in a moment. I've been showing a little bit of this off. I showed a little bit of this off early, just because I couldn't get over how fucking ridiculous it was. But here are wolves, half of which are embedded in the mountain top, and none of which are doing anything. They're just stood there waiting to be shot. So that's good. thumbs up there. The game has a lot of issues like this, clipping issues being one of them, some attacks not connecting. Every now and then you get these triangle prompts that pop up that let you perform a finishing move, which is often why enemies being leveled above you don't really mean anything.
Alright. I shall return after reviewing my strategy.
Can't the enemy do better than that?
Into Shu province now!
We cannot.
I'll let you go.
Can't the enemy do better than that?
Look on the bright side though, Jim. At least it doesn't have loot boxes. I know that some people will have written those comments before they got this far, so let's just address that. No, this game doesn't have loot boxes as far as I can tell. But that doesn't stop it from being a very terrible game that I struggle to call a Dynasty Warriors game. Because it don't look like one, it don't feel like one, it don't play like one. It plays like a horrible parody of a Dynasty Warriors game.
We must bring succor to the ravaged souls of the people and blow a new breeze through this rotten land. The time for judgment has come! A miracle in the land!
Yeah, neither one's that great, to be honest, but this is, in terms of the best way to play the game on each platform, this is the best results you're going to see. So the performance doesn't really improve with the other settings you can choose, it only sort of gets worse from here on out.
Okay, so what we are looking at is an unlocked frame rate with VSync off essentially, which means constant tearing and a wildly fluctuating frame rate, which can be, I don't know, low 20s up to the 40s by the look of it. Okay, so let's talk about the action mode and the movie mode on PlayStation 4 Pro.
So action mode, native 1080p resolution. The movie mode's kind of interesting because according to the developer, they're using the geometry rendering technique, so they're starting off with a 1080p frame buffer and then using a kind of geometry upscale in order to reach 2160p. But when looking at it closely, the results here are kind of strange. If you remember Gravity Rush that used a similar technique, when you pixel counted it, it resolved native 4K 2160p just with blurrier sort of textures and upscaled foliage. But in this particular game, when I pixel counted the movie mode, it actually came out at 1080p but without the usual upscaling artifacts. It looks sharp but almost like a nearest neighbor scale on the geometry.
Right, okay, so it doesn't resolve a native 4K pixel count, but there is definitely an image quality improvement.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. But what are the implications here on performance?
So if we move on to the actual frame rate, there's a huge difference. So action mode can go above 30 frames per second up to sort of 40 FPS at points, but generally it spends most of its time, between sort of 25-30 FPS. Movie mode though, you get a massive downgrade. It's almost around sort of 20 FPS most of the time, dipping below in sort of more demanding moments, and you also get a huge amount of screen tearing as well, so not great on that front.
Yeah, I don't really quite understand the name movie mode on this one. I mean, movies run at 24 frames per second, not 18, 17. And, when I go to the multiplex, I don't generally tend to see tearing.
So on the other formats, obviously resolution gets lowered, but on Xbox One X, they've just decided to enable VSync for movie mode. And yeah, performance also appears to be slightly worse as well, so I'm not sure what the benefits are. You've got identical image quality but with no tearing, and you're not really getting that much difference in terms of the actual gameplay experience, I guess.
Well, you're going to be getting, in theory at least, better fluidity on the action mode because it can render a new frame whenever one is ready, whereas on the movie mode it's waiting for the next refresh. Okay, so essentially then the difference is VSync on and off, and that can have various impacts on the timing of when frames are rendered. But I guess you've got a choice between bad judder and consistent, ever-present screen tear. So we're going to kick off here with PlayStation 4, right?
Yep, so this is PlayStation 4, and so long as you've updated to the latest patch, you get a choice of action and movie mode as well. Action mode is 900p, movie mode is 1080p, and in terms of visual settings, like we've seen on the other platforms, they're identical between the two modes outside of the resolution. And speaking of the actual visual effects, I noticed that things like shadow quality and anisotropic filtering is actually very similar to the PS4 Pro release. It's really just like foliage density and environment detail that gets pared back for the base version.
Okay, fair enough. And I guess, girding my loins here, but what is the performance profile of the base PlayStation 4?
Right, well, in action mode, it's not too dissimilar to what we've seen on Xbox One X and PS4 Pro. So lots of screen tearing, and it goes up to 30 frames per second on the base hardware. I haven't really noticed it going above by that much more, maybe 1 or 2 FPS. But again, it's suboptimal, but it's not as terrible as you might expect for base hardware, given that they've pared back a lot of the environment detail in terms of the foliage in order to get it running at this kind of state. But movie mode is it's a bit of a disaster, really. I mean, it's like sub 20 FPS at points, and yeah, it's really not great.
But they do have VSync engaged on the movie mode, which they don't have on the Pro's movie mode.
Yeah, it's kind of an unusual thing to see. You would have thought it would be the same as on PS4 Pro, but instead you're getting a presentation that's more like on the Xbox One X version. So you don't get screen tearing, but you get a massive hit into performance with more unevenness in terms of controller response, things like that.
Yeah, 20 FPS or under. I mean, again, I think we're veering into unplayable territory here.
Yep, I certainly didn't enjoy playing it like this. The action mode was a lot more fluid compared to the movie mode, so that's the one I'd definitely choose.
Yeah, I mean, fair to look at. Base Xbox One, what's the story?
Right, base Xbox One, there are no modes to select, so you basically just accept what you're given here. That means we're looking at a 720p resolution, and with various effects being pared back from base PS4, so a lot lower shadow resolution, dialed back anisotropic filtering, and there also appears to be sort of a removal of ambient occlusion in some scenes, along with depth of field, so a general paring back in settings along with a reduction in resolution there.
Okay, then, so on the base hardware then, we've dropped from 900p to 720p. There have been a raft of graphical compromises implemented, and performance looks pretty poor as well.
Yeah, so here we've got PS4 in action mode, which is the 900p mode, versus just what you get on base Xbox One. And yeah, it's really struggling to get to 30 frames per second on Xbox One. It very rarely manages to do that. It spends a lot of time in the low 20s, and obviously this VSync's not enabled, so there's a ton of screen tearing. So even with that massive drop in resolution to 720p, it's still not optimal, and that's with pared back visual settings. Not really very good at all.
Yeah, it does seem to be a bit of a Hobson's choice with this one. I can't see any decent way to play the game at all across any of the systems, and it's kind of surprising that the PS4 Pro version at 1080p still seems to be running really badly on the action mode, which, based on what we've seen so far, you kind of think that would be the optimal way to play.
I kind of feel that, maybe when they're developing the game with the mid-gen refresh consoles, the Pro and Xbox One X, perhaps they shouldn't have dialed up some of the settings like the foliage quality and draw distance as much as they have. It looks a lot better as a result, but at the same time, it seems that performance is really being impacted with that increase in visual effects along with resolution, which maybe wasn't the best choice. I think in a game like this you'd much rather have a more stable frame rate so you can get consistent controls and a more enjoyable sort of gameplay experience rather than more eye candy.
Meanwhile, Xbox One X, everything at 1440p, so it is a 4 times resolution uplift over the base console, but at the same time, well, I don't think when we went to buy our enhanced consoles we really were looking for sub 30 FPS action, so it's a bit of a disappointment all round, I think.
Yeah, agreed. It's definitely disappointing to see, especially considering the developers are using a new engine that is supposed to be built from the ground up around these current gen consoles, but yeah, based on the results, we're just not seeing the kind of improvement we'd hoped for. At least a solid 30 FPS would be nice, but yeah, there it is. Not exactly the return to form we wanted to see, and a disappointing experience all round across all the consoles.